everybody, and welcome to the show. I got to tell you guys, I am excited today for today's show. My friend Dr. Malik is going to be here with us. And if you don't know Dr. Malik is a doctor from the UK. He woke up, much like many of us did, and he was speaking out and he was fighting and he was telling the truth about COVID, about vaccines, about all these sorts of things, and has just been an absolute warrior. Now, this is critical, folks. This is critical. Say, well, UK, yeah, the UK. Folks, UK is pulling a lot of strings on this. You got to understand that there was a lot of coordination between the UK and the US throughout COVID, through the censorship, through this, that, and other, the mRNA, all this stuff. UK, US have been very much tied together on all of this. Understand, the United States has been under attack. Our freedoms have been under attack, just like the rest of the world. The UK, Europe's in bad shape right now, folks. They're in real bad shape. Europe is just descending into tyranny on a massive scale. I mean, we saw today, Macron is suing Candace Owens because apparently he doesn't like the fact that she pointed out that his wife has a penis or had a penis or might have had a penis or something. I don't know. There's something to do with Macron's wife having a penis that he's unhappy about. I would assume that it's that she has one, but I guess not. Anyways, at least that's what Candace Owens tells us. So anyway, so there's a lawsuit there, but there is no free speech in Europe. There is a lot of things that we take for granted here in the U.S. that our Constitution, it may not have protected us well. I mean, the censorship, all the craziness that was happening was rough. But compared to what was happening in Europe, I got to tell you, folks, we made out okay. And we were able to come back and we were able to lead the world in kind of providing the truth because of the Constitution, because of our structure, because we fought. But meanwhile, if not for people like Doc Malik, and some of our other freedom-loving warriors around the world, we'd had a hell of a time. For a while, the goal was really to focus and concentrate. The globalists were really focusing and concentrating their fight in America, but it was our global effort that really helped kind of lighten that, where we could make such progress as we fought through this. As we see what's happening with Donald Trump now, and we see the coup that was launched by Obama, hopefully they'll get to the point where they recognize that Obama was behind COVID too. I mean, he was. There's no question in my mind about that. But I haven't seen any documents on that yet. Although I would love to see Tulsi dig into it. Obama was behind this whole thing, but this all was tied together. It was all tied together. So we got to understand that first of all, if you were fighting in Europe, you were fighting at what might have been an even uglier fight than it was in the United States, because there were a lot of good people in Europe that got put in jail for fighting this. I mean, there were a lot of people who got put in jail and attacked here in this country for doing the same, but it was brutal in Europe. So Doc Malik is a hero, and he's just a good dude. So I'm excited for you guys to get to meet him and to talk about him, or talk with him and to hear what we got to say here. Just a good guy. I want to, before we do that, I want to cue this up. And folks, I'm going to show you a video, and this is disturbing, okay? So if you've got a weak stomach, you might not want to see this, okay? This is disturbing, but I want you to see what this is, because honestly, this is the truth. This is what's happening. Now, when you ask why guys like Doc Malik and me, we fought so hard and why we continue to fight on mRNA and these different things, this video shows why, okay? Now, this video, and I'm going to make it big here. You can find it on my Twitter feed. You're going to see a placenta from a vaccinated, someone who was vaccinated during pregnancy, and a placenta that was not. And I'm going to show you the difference between the two, right? And I'm not going to play the whole video. I'm just going to show you a couple scenes, but I want you to understand, because remember that they lied and said this was safe for pregnancy without any testing. They knew what they were doing. This is destroying babies. It's destroying our ability to have babies. It's destroying, listen, there has been a huge explosion of problems with pregnancy since this has been out and since this has been happening. It's not to say that nobody's able to get pregnant or carry a baby to term, but there are a lot of problems. And I want to show you this. So here's the video. We're going to start, and I'm going to fast forward because I want you guys to see, this is a double vaccinated placenta. Okay. You see how thin it is? You see how, and this is right after birth. This is right after birth. This is disturbing, folks. This is disturbing. This is not what a placenta should look like. Okay, this is disgusting. It's thin. It's just, it's not what it's supposed to look like, right? Now let's fast forward here. This is a healthy placenta. This is what a healthy placenta looks like after birth, right? So compare this with this. You notice any differences, folks? Now, I'm not a doctor, and I can't say what all that means, but I can say that maybe there's an issue. Maybe there's an issue. So anyways, I'm going to bring Doc Malik on. We're going to talk about that and a whole bunch more. Before I do, please remember to support us. GiveSendGo.com/Renslaw. GiveSendGo.com/Renslaw. Become a monthly supporter, weekly supporter, daily supporter, one-time support. Whatever you can give, we're grateful for. But your support keeps us fighting, keeps us going. And please share this broadcast. You want to make sure that everybody hears this. Like I said, you're going to love Doc Malik, so you're going to want to hear this anyways. And then also go to TomRenz.com, www.tomrenz.com. You have to type TomRenz.com. You can't search Tom Renz, or all you get is Google giving you hit pieces on me, which there's plenty of those. But go to TomRenz.com, scroll down, and just go to our shop, our partners and affiliates, and go right here, BlockTrust IRA. Listen. Crypto's coming. Trump loves it. There's nothing we can do about it. Whether you like it or not, crypto is a thing. It's here. It's not going anywhere. So go to BlockTrust. BlockTrust allows you to, it's regulated crypto, right? They actually have crypto. You can put it in your IRA. It's good stuff. It's not meme coin crap. It's legitimate stuff. These guys are the best crypto guys on the market, in my opinion. You have this custom AI crypto investment program that really, really allows you to make money like the big guys do. It's a wonderful program. Listen, crypto's coming. You can make money off of it, or you can sit on the sidelines and not make money off of it. But either way, it's coming. So make sure that you're getting in on this and making the money on it while you can, because if you don't, well, you're just going to be left behind, and it's still going to be here. So anyways, that's that. All right. Without further ado, let me bring on my friend Doc Malik. How are you doing today, sir?
Dandy. I'm doing great. Listen, I'm in a good mood. I'm in a jokey mood. So I'm sorry. I need to start off with, dude, you have a massive mic. I don't know if it's a camera perception, but like that mic is taking up most of your torso. But yeah. I'm sure
it's the camera actually, but it looks so I just recently I had some friends come in who are, producer type people, and they're smart about things. They're like, you got to change your shot. Change my shot? I don't know what that means. You got to change your shot. So I said, well, what does that mean? I said, well, we need to move this. So we moved the camera. So now people are seeing a little bit different angle. And they said that it was going to help my light and help make it look a little more professional and whatever. So then we change it, but now my mic looks like it's like some ginormous phallic symbol.
It's like that big. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I thought about moving it back, but I don't want to lose the sound on it. So I don't know.
No, I get that.
We'll figure out something.
I remember when I first started off my podcast, my shot, I was such a newbie. I was like this. I was like, hi everybody. And I had all these people email me, Doc, for God's sake, center yourself properly in the camera. Like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I don't understand. What am I doing wrong? And they're like, you're like not in the frame.
Well, I get the same thing. So, producer Andrea and then some of my other friends and people who are behind, supporting us and what have you, they give me all sorts of guff because, I'm a lawyer, I'm a political consultant. I do all sorts of things, and this is one of them. And it's a very important thing. We need this show to grow. By the way, share. But it's just not something that was ever, I was never planning on being like a media guy. It was never on my life's mission to be like known or, doing shows or podcasts or news or, so it's like.
But this is what's amazing. Like you told me you do this every day, 5 days a week. That's incredible. And you do it full time. You're lawyering and you're helping people pro bono. You're giving all this advice to people. You're doing all this political work and activism, and then you're doing this. And I know how much work is behind the scenes is done. Like for this 1 hour, it's all the prep work, organizing, researching, editing. I mean, there's a lot of work, and well
It
done.
is a
5
lot of
days a
work.
week, a lot.
Well, this is why, and the people that watch me will see that, yeah, like, I mean, producer Andrea helps. I mean, if she's not here, everything goes to hell. It's like, I've got people that have to have my back. Otherwise, I just, but it is. And I'll tell you, Doc, the thing about it is I give so much work away on the legal side that the show is really important. We've got to have the show moving. That the goal, and producer Andrea just dropped me a note about needing a vacation. She could come. I might pay for her to come to the studio for a week. Is that a vacation? I don't know, something. But she could work in studio instead of remotely. That'd be, there you go. But no, joking aside, it is. It's a lot of work, but the goal is eventually to have the show big enough that I can give all of my legal work away for free. I would love to be able to work for free on the law side and just help people. Producer Andrea notes that if she came on camera today, the audience would see how bad she needs the vacation. I don't know about that, Andrea. I saw producer Andrea before the show. She's fine. She looks bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Easy night.
What you're doing is really important because look, there's so much misinformation and disinformation coming from sanctioned, government official channels. The bombardment of propaganda is a tsunami. It's a tsunami. And then there's this tiny little drip of truth on the other side trying to combat the tsunami of lies and distraction and deception. It's not a surprise that most people don't actually know what's going on. I mean, the other day I was at the jiu-jitsu gym, my kids do jiu-jitsu, and I'm sitting there next to this other dad. And I turned around to him. I said, Paul, what do you think of the world today? And he's a teacher. And he turned around to me and goes, it's really messed up. I was like,
he ain't lying.
And I said, why? Why do you think it's messed up? He goes, shook his head, paused for a second, and went, oh, the government, they're just awful, even worse than normal. And then there's the wars. Why are we at war with Russia? And then, why is it I make good money. My wife makes good money. We're both teachers. We're making £80,000-90,000, combined. That's $120,000.
Yeah.
But we're struggling after taxes and bills. It's hard. We need to watch what we're doing.
Yeah.
And I don't get it. It's just so much, Ahmed. It's really messed up. And that's what I'm trying to say is for your average kind of normie person who's not really fully aware of the depths of deception, they know something is wrong. They just can't put their finger on it. They can't put their finger on it.
I agree.
But the more people watch and listen to channels like yours and mine, they start to go, all right, that's why it's like this, So we're doing important work,
Well, and by the way, make sure that you're checking out Doc's channel. Here's docmalik.com, docmalik.com. You can get to all of his different things here. He actually gets to be on YouTube, which I don't understand because I'm not allowed anywhere near YouTube. But make sure you're supporting Doc Malik at docmalik.com because Doc also has a great show. You'll see there's actually going to be a great show he's doing that's coming out on Friday. I mean, it's spectacular. No, I'm joking. I'm actually Doc interviewed me. It'll be out on Friday.
Let me introduce. Don't put yourself down, mister. Listen, it was an epic podcast. It was brilliant. And because you wore your heart on your sleeve, you're passionate, and hopefully it'll come out on Friday, and you're just telling it as it is, what we're up against and what we're facing and the sacrifices we're making to, fight for humanity and our children and our future. So, no, it's going to be a great episode, man. I can't wait to get it out.
I'm glad to get it out there. It's important for people to see, right? And the thing about it is the thing that's really important. And Doc, you're a doctor. You're kind of a big shot doctor. You did all sorts of great things in that. One of the most important things in my world that I think really I wish we were able to get out further is, I'm at a point where a lot of people, oh, you're a big shot attorney, this, that, and other. No, I'm still a nobody from a little town. And it's so important because the thing about it is it's the nobodies that have the duty to save our world. We can't save our world. If we're waiting for the big shots to save our world, it's never going to happen because the big shots are comfortable. They got what they need. They don't need much. Guys like us, you got kids. I got kids. We got, we're fighting for their future. So we're fighting. We've got a cause. We've got a heart. We've got something to fight for. The guys that have everything that, their kids' future is already set. Everything's already set. No one in their family's ever going to have to work for anything. They're going to be, wealthy to the endless energy and endless generation. They don't need any more, right? So they don't have anything to fight for. They're not going to fight for us. They're not going to fight to save us. They're going to fight to keep themselves preserved and preserve what they've got, but they aren't going to fight for us. It's our duty to fight. If we want our kids to have a future, it's our duty to fight for them. It really is, and it's really something that we can only accomplish when people start realizing that you don't have to be a big shot to make a big difference. You just have to be willing.
Absolutely. Everybody can step up. Everyone has that ability. And, I wasn't a big shot. I mean, I was a very good, orthopedic surgeon and had a great practice in London. I was treating Hollywood stars and politicians and celebrities and average people and farmers and laborers. I was treating everybody, all walks of life, and it was a wonderful practice I had. In the countryside, I was treating ordinary folk in central London. I was treating people from all around the world, the hoi polloi, and it was just fun. It was just really good fun. Yeah. But I someone asked me recently, do you have any regrets? And I was like, oh God, I'd regret it every day. I wish I kept my mouth shut and should have just put my head down and just taken the money and just turned another eye and not looked at all the problems. No, of course not. I'm being sarcastic. No, yeah. I'm really glad of the decisions I've made. I've got such a light conscience. I feel so happy. I'm living in gratitude, and I know what I'm doing is the right thing. And this is a spiritual battle. It's more than just money and power and control. There's something really deep, dark, evil going on in the world.
Yes.
And it's ramping up, and people can sense it. It's not right. So you're either serving in that army of darkness or you're serving in the army of light. And, I've got my children, I've got my wife, I think we need to step up. We all need to step up. So I talked about this in an X post recently. I was like, I hate the government, on an epic level. They don't represent me. It's not democratic. It's a uni-party system. They steal my wealth and my labor through taxation. They tax me on even the money that has been taxed again and again via indirect and direct taxes. And then even when I die, they tax me. It's ridiculous. 90% of what I do goes to the IRS equivalent here in the UK. It's all the same. All these corporations, my government, your country, my country, they're corporations, dead entities. And they're not representative. They're not democratic. They don't serve us, the people. No matter what party comes into power, it's like a boat tacking in the wind. Port, starboard, but the final destination is straight ahead. They always do the same thing, no matter who comes in. And it's all puppet theater. Oh, yes, he did. No, he didn't. Yes, he did. And, it's all garbage. It's been controlled by the same person. And we're meant to believe that there's some choice. It's an illusion of choice. So this government, I hate the government. There's a bunch of criminals. They're all captured. They're all complicit. They're all compromised. They're all drug addicts. They're all pedos. They're all God knows what else they're doing. And you know what? They're also middlemen. They're serving people above, not just the civil servants. Here in the UK, a big famous political advisor came out and said during the cabinet meetings, all the cabinet ministers come with a pre-written script with their questions, answers. And everybody goes around reading off their script. And then they go, they nod and smile at the camera as if they've done something. But they're actors. They're reading off the script. And then the cabinet, the civil servants are standing behind, making sure, like minders, that these cabinet ministers are doing what they're doing. They're doing what they're told. And the prime minister is no different, just an actor. And I hate to say this, some of your audience might not like it. Trump's the same. The deep state controls our countries and the West. And it was through the bureaucracy and the civil service. But then above that, there's other layers. Then there's the policymakers, WEF, Rockefeller foundations, the Council for Foreign Relations, the Trilateral Commissions, the Club of Rome, and then above that, who knows who is there? But this idea that we are democratic and the land of the free, sadly, it's not the case. And, we are being poisoned and dumbed down and made sick, and our lifespans shortened deliberately and weakened, so that we are easily controlled. So this is why I hate my government.
But not
I
you.
hate my government. Sorry, one more thing. I hate my government because they're allowing the mass migration. They're allowing the controlled demolition of my country. They're allowing the destruction of our culture, our societal values, the undermining of the local population. I hate the fact they've signed up to Agenda 2030, like all the countries in the world, with no democratic mandate, no mandate from the public. And, and they've signed away sovereignty to supranational, transnational organizations, institutions, and corporations. They are scum, they're traitors, they're treasonous, they're evil, and we need a revolution. We're not going to get anywhere with voting, but that revolution starts in the mind. We need to understand what's going on and reclaim our sovereignty. Sorry, I went off on a rant.
No. That was a very good rant, and there was just so much in there that I want to touch on here. Let's go back to the beginning on this, though, right? Because one of the things that I want people to know, there's a reason that I got so much respect for you, Doc, right? So you fought out these sorts of things. I want to talk about your fight. Let's talk about your origins in the fight, right? So you've got this practice. You're treating big shots. You're treating regular people. You've got a great practice. Life is good. Everything's happening, and you're faced. Tell me if this is a fair characterization. It comes to a point where you're faced with a decision: sell out, push the mRNA, the COVID, the lies, everything that's happening, and make God knows how much more money. You'd probably be in a great spot, or fight back, risk losing everything, and be all the things that go with that. You chose the latter. Tell us a little bit about that. Tell us about the choice, and tell us about the lack of regrets that you indicated that you have in making that choice, because a lot of money there if we were sold out. I mean, I can tell, I have not really ever talked about this publicly much, but I will tell you, I had more than one opportunity to sell out, and I would be sitting very wealthy right now had I done so. Talk a little bit about that.
Right, well, listen, it goes back to the real origins are like my origins, right? So I was born in Scotland. I grew up in a very working class family. My dad came over from the Indian subcontinent when he was a teenager. I think he was 16, 17 years old. He worked in the shipyards. He was a welder. Then he did markets, got a shoe shop, then a nursing home, blah, 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 blah. Right? So basically, very working class, from a very poor, deprived part of a city called Glasgow. And it's like, imagine Detroit, all the car factories have shut down. And there's a lot of alcoholism, drug addiction, everything's run down. That's what it was like where I grew up. Okay. And so I never thought I was privileged, special. It was the opposite. I had imposter syndrome. I never thought I was good enough. I always wished we had more money. I wish we could go on holidays. I remember when we even moved house to a slightly better area, the kids would be going off on the school ski holiday, but my parents couldn't afford to send me. So I was at school with one other kid, in my class, because, we were the poor kids. That's the kind of upbringing I had. And I'm not putting a violin story. I'm just telling you, that's the way it was. And but that's a good thing, because it teaches you to value the work ethic and be grateful and have gratitude for every little thing that you get. That I got presents twice a year, which was Christmas and New Year's, right? And my birthday. And that was it. And, I worked hard so that I could get into med school. I wanted to be a surgeon. I knew it would be a good salary and a good career, and I could do good work. And that's what I wanted to do. So I got into surgery, and I worked against all odds and ended up becoming, an equivalent of an attending and head of the department and all that kind of stuff. And it took a lot of sacrifice. Every day I was working when other kids are off on holiday and studying, and playing. I was at home studying when the other kids are working in the banks and making lots of money. I was broke as a junior doctor with debts and loans, and working every day that God gave me to do research projects and everything, so I could advance my career. So I hit 36, and suddenly now I become an attending, and then I start paying off my debts. And then I start working on my private practice, because you work in the state government hospital and the private. And finally, by the time I got to about the age of 40, I'm okay. I'm doing well now. For the first time in my life, I'm no longer in debt, and I'm enjoying the fruits of my labor. And it's taken a long time to get there. All those exams, all those interviews, all the grueling, the hamster wheel of getting to the top of orthopedics. It's not easy.
No.
And I get there and I realize that actually medicine is so broken. I'm not well. I'm diabetic. I'm hypertensive. My dad's dying of cancer. And I realized there's
As
something
one of the
not right.
top orthopedic surgeons in the country, you're realizing how bad your health is.
Yeah, you realize. And then I look back and I go, right, I need to get my shit together. And so my wife and I both start losing weight. We fast. We fix so many things in my life. And, I'm going to write a book about this, Doc Malik's Simple Guide to Good Health. And then, now I'm suddenly fit and healthy. I've lost weight. I've reversed my diabetes. I don't have hypertension anymore. And I'm like, hold on one sec. Everything I've just learned and implemented in the last year, none of that was taught to me in med school. Well, why is that? I was offered the drugs, the metformin and the antihypertensive and the ACE inhibitors, but no one told me the basic simple things that I could just fix myself, like literally cure myself, because pills aren't a cure. If you need a repeat prescription, that's not a cure. So now I'm getting really disillusioned, and I'm looking at the whole panorama thing. I'm head of the department. I'm going to the management meetings. I'm seeing what's going on behind the scenes, and it's all double speak. They talk about putting the patient first and foremost, but actually when you listen to the agenda, it's all about saving money and the patient's being compromised. And it's like the new, brave new world. It's double speak. They say one thing but mean another. So I'm getting really disillusioned with management, middle management, the public healthcare system, the insurance market, the scam of healthcare. And I've had enough. I'm going to go just in the private sector and work on my own. I'm going to treat patients like my family. And my operation rate is now no longer 30, 40%. I'm only operating on 5% of my patients because I take an interest in their sleep, their stress, their diet, their nutrition. And suddenly by optimizing everything else, they don't need the surgery anymore.
Yep.
And I'm teaching my 5-6-year-olds about how to be healthy. And I'm thinking in my head, wow, if I was a prime minister, I would be teaching every kid who's 5 or 6 these basic bits of knowledge, right? Yeah. And in return, I would have the most resilient, healthy, intelligent population. This maze, and after all, a country is only as strong as its population. And if I was a patriot, I would want all my population to rise up and be strong. And I'd be like, and there wouldn't be any of the sick care. There would be no burden of disease. There'd be no depression, anxiety, and all the other problems we're seeing. And I would teach them about love and love languages and loving oneself and healing thy trauma. And what an amazing community and society and culture we could create for nothing. And we would save money and we'd be productive and we'd be world-class leaders. And I thought, if this stupid, dumb orthopedic surgeon can figure all this out, surely the politicians and their experts and their professors and their ivory towers in Cambridge and Imperial and Oxford know this. And I think, why are they not doing anything about it?
Yep.
And then I realized they don't want a fit, strong, healthy population. That's an unruly crowd. They want you weak, sick, dependent, addicted, and grateful to the government. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. So now I'm starting to get disillusioned with politics, and it rekindled some of my awakening at the time of 9/11. Like, I fell for 9/11, and so much so.
I actually thought 9/11 was a terrorist attack, and it was.
Well, same with me, dude. And at the time, I haven't been a Muslim for 20 years, but at the time I was a Muslim, and I was like, oh my God, my team has let it down big time. Oh, for God's sake! And I joined the Army Reserves. I became a captain, Captain Malik. Right. So here I'm a Captain Malik, medic in the army, and I'm going every weekend. I'm firing my rifle. I'm doing my medical training with the Scotties. And I remember a year into it, these guys, they're all middle-aged, major, corporal, blah blah. They're all like, so why'd you join the TA, Doc? You're a surgeon. What the hell? You got nothing better to do? I was like, oh, you know what? That 9/11, I was really pissed off. I want people to realize that not all Muslims are like this, these bad, and they all just started laughing. And I'm like, what's so funny? They're like, have you heard about building number 7? I was like, no. Have you heard? Did you not think it's weird about the passport? I was like, what passport? You don't know about the passport that magically appeared a few blocks away from, the Twin Towers unscathed? I went, no. You don't know anything about the dancing Israelis? I was like, what are you guys talking about? They all burst out laughing again. They went, listen, son, listen. Look, don't you understand? Nothing is what it seems. It wasn't any Muslims that brought down 9/11. That's what we call a false flag. I'm like, false flag? Like, I don't know what that means. They're like, sir, because I'm the senior ranking officer. They're like, sir, you got a lot to be educated about. You might be a smart surgeon, but you don't know jack shit about the world. And I was like, oh my God. And then they started telling me about everything. They were like, look, essentially, we're just a mercenary force for the city of London. And I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, we go around. We do, we cause mayhem and trouble in other countries, and then we extract their wealth and resources. We create chaos there. And that's how we rule over the.
So the soldiers know, really.
Yeah.
So the soldiers know in the UK.
Yeah, well, the ones that I was with, and I was like, well, why are you in the army? They're like, well, we got 3 years left for our pension. I'm like, what? and it's like, we're out of here. Like, and it's not for queen or country. I was like, oh my God. So that was my first kind of awakening. But then I got back into the medical system.
It's crazy to me that it was a conversation that was just like something that the guys said, it's like the career guys in the military over there, because you don't hear about that in the U.S. And I'd love to. I mean, I know we got a lot of vets and a lot of guys who.
You need to get Brad Miller. You need to get Brad Miller on your show. I'll connect you with him. He was a lieutenant colonel in the 101st. Like, I mean, you know about the 101st, and like he was a lieutenant colonel, and like, dude, you need to hear this guy talk. Like, if you got you want to hear the military people, I'll put you in touch with Brad Miller. It would be an amazing guest. So anyway, fast forward.
That's active duty. That's crazy.
Yeah. But anyway, fast forward. I'm like now totally disillusioned with medicine and everything. And then I joined the Brexit party, and I'm trying to get out of the EU, the UK out of the EU, because it's a supranational, undemocratic country. It's very Marxist, socialist. Yes, it's totally against my ideology of what we should be. I mean, we have a difficulty in controlling Westminster, which is like your DC. And it's even harder, when it's in a different continent, different country, on the mainland continent. I mean, that's ridiculous. So I was very anti it. I took part in it, and I got even more disillusioned, because I realized that even the party that I was serving was just a controlled vehicle to dissipate the frustration of the population, and that the people in control are the puppet masters, and all these parties were just fake. So now I've just come out of that, and having joined Brexit and the Brexit party, I was quite famous and well known in the area. All the medics cancelled me. So you might be like, well, who cares about that? Well, why does that matter? So imagine like half of my patients are coming from doctors referring me, And now all the doctors are saying, well, you're a far right white supremacist. Now, dude, look at my skin color, right? Look at my name, Doc Malik. And I'm literally being called a racist and a Nazi and a white supremacist. Hey-ho, right? So like my practice suddenly shrinks. I'm watching like, and you know what it's like when you run a practice, you've got your overheads, you've got your indemnity, you've got your room rental, you've got your secretary, you've got your billing, you've got your software, you've got equipment hire. So, there's a lot of overheads, and so suddenly I'm like, what is going on? Where are my patients? And then I'm being told by like my patients who ring me up, oh, I can't come and see you. My doctor won't refer me to you. They've told me that, you're not a good surgeon and blah, blah. I'm like, what? They were sending me patients for 6 years, and I was like, they were telling me I'm like the top surgeon in the area and blah, blah, and now they're not sending me. And it was like, and then people were telling me, they don't like your views, your political views and everything. So at this point, I'm reeling. I'm feeling a bit depressed. I want to pick up my practice, and COVID hits.
Oh.
And I'm like, what? And I fell for the fear porn for about 3 weeks. And then when the lockdown happened and they started saying, if you're sick and dying, stay at home. And I'm like, what? And when you're almost dead, come to the hospital and we intubate you. I was like, what?
So we can kill you faster.
So at this point, I was thankfully the fear porn snapped out of me. And I think if I wasn't so demoralized and dejected and depressed from the whole Brexit thing, I would have been a bit more awake to things. But because I was really in a low place, like really low, I was just like already beaten, and it was like, kicking me when I was already down. Yeah. But I woke up to it. But anyway, the thing is that private hospitals locked me out for about a year I couldn't go into the private hospitals, couldn't operate. I was stuck in my garden. I didn't get any money. I didn't get any furlough. And let's make it clear, the furlough, you know, this money you got from the government was basically hush money to stay quiet. You know, it's just like, you know, shh, be quiet, don't complain. And the people took it. You know, the ones who are employed, a lot of them did. I know a lot of people didn't. A lot of people were coerced into working and had to work. But certainly self-employed people like me struggled. There was no handouts. So, you know, now I'm like, oh shit, I need to remortgage my house, blah, 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 blah. It's all these stresses. And then slowly have to, you know, after the easing of the lockdowns, I'm struggling to get my practice back. People don't have money. People have lost their jobs and then their work insurance, you know, all that kind of stuff. And it slowly starts to build up. And then they go, right, you need vaccines and you need mandates. I'm like, what?
Yep.
So then I started fighting against the mandates. I went on TV and went on the marches and the protests. And then they overturned it. I was like, oh, thank God for that. So then I slowly start going back and building up my practice. And I just about get to where I was before Brexit and COVID, when I started seeing all these problems. Like, and people might be like, what is a foot and ankle surgeon doing seeing problems? Well, let me explain. So a lot of people will come to me thinking they've got a foot and ankle problem when actually it's not. So I was seeing people with massive clots in their legs. They're like, oh my, I think I've got a calf muscle tear. And it wasn't, it was a clot. And it was just after their shots. Or, you know, I've got numbness in my feet and I can't walk. And actually it's got nothing to do with your feet. The numbness is coming from your brain. You've got multiple sclerosis or some neurodegenerative problem. So, you know, stuff like that. Or a patient I fixed and then 3 months later she's got cancer and she's like asking me why my, you know, spine hurts, and I look into it and she's riddled with cancer. And, you know, she was cleared 10 years ago, but she's got resurgence of turbo cancer. And then neurologists in my department, I'm like, oh, wow, your clinic's heaving. You know, as we swap rooms, you know, I come in the afternoon, the morning guy's leaving. I'm like, wow, you're busy. And he went, oh, dude, busting from the seams. I'm like, why? Oh, man, the weird and wonderful neurology and pathology I'm seeing. I'm like, what's driving it, dude? He goes, it's that. And then hushed tones. And it was so weird because we're in a room on our own with the door shut. There's no one can hear. But he still whispers, it's the vaccines. I'm like, sorry, what? It's the vaccines. You were right. Because he knew I was opposing them. I said, dude, well, you need to say something because I'm saying something too. And he goes, oh, nah, don't be silly. And other doctors were doing the exact same thing. They were just like saying, poo, poo, we're not saying anything. So at this point, I was like, hold on 1 second. So we're going to abide by the principle of first do no harm. By the way, if the listeners are listening and thinking, why is this at ×2 speed? No, it's just the rate I'm speaking at, so apologies. So
that's just a good doctor. He's got a lot to say in a short period of time to say it.
Exactly. So the first do no harm is a basic medical tenet. You're meant to do no harm to the patient, right? Yeah. And that's why doctors get the respect they get, that, you know, you're doing what's best for the patient in front of you and not for yourself.
In recent years, it used to be for the patient. Now it's for the hospital's bottom line.
Dude, it's worse than that. It's worse than that. So first do no harm actually means first do no harm to your medical registration and license. First do no harm to your career. First do no harm to your reputation. First do no harm to your holidays and your kids' schooling and your fancy car and your mistress. And then maybe first do no harm to the patient, but as long as you're following the guidelines and the protocols. I mean, we've become automatons. The clinicians have become technicians. Right. And I remember my boss from 20 years ago warning me, listen, never become a technician. Right. Remember, you're a clinician first and foremost. You know, you can train any monkey to do an operation. The difference is you're a clinician. I was like, okay. I have no idea what he was talking at the time. Now I know. Now we're just automatons. Insurance companies tell us what to do. Hospital management tells us what to do. Fauci tells us what to do. And we just do it. We just, you know, how high? Clap 3 times and jump on one leg. Okay. You know, we're SEALs. You know, that's all we are. You know, and we get this respect for what? So, you know, I was so upset and disillusioned. And, you know, I fired off a tweet at the time and I said, look, something weird is going on. Like everywhere we look, weird and wonderful things happening. Maybe it's got to do with this experimental shot that's been rolled out on humanity. Maybe we need to stop, take a look and investigate. And then I started my operating list. And then what happened was, geez Louise, within 24 hours, I got these legal letters from 2 of the big private hospital groups, from the national medical directors, saying cease and desist, take down your video, don't ever post anything on social media about this topic, stay within your lane. And if you don't, you're going to lose your practicing privileges. And I don't have a contract. I've only got privileges to work in this hospital. And I'm like, whoa, what the hell? And, I refused. I said to my kids, I'm being bullied at school. Bullied at work. What should I do? And they said, Dad, exactly what you tell us. You stand up to the bullies. I'm like, okay. So I stood up to the bullies. I said, no, I'm going to keep talking about this.
Amen.
You're telling me to stop talking about this. Like, the worst case scenario is you investigate, and you find out I'm wrong and you tell me, but, or you say, shut up, and potentially I'm right and serious harm is going on, but you've silenced me. Which one is the worst option?
Yep.
They never replied. So I then had like this campaign of harassment for like 7-8 months, culminating in a referral to my registration and licensing board. They cleared me. And then another hospital suspended me on the claim that I didn't inform them of this referral. And then another hospital suspended me and kicked me out because apparently my guest said something about Israel, which was actually factually true, which some people didn't like. So anonymous complaints about me being anti-Semitic, transphobic, anti-vaxxer, climate change denier, and all the hospitals basically kicked me out.
Yeah.
So I went, okay, that's fine. I still had my license. I still had one hospital I could work out of. But I was like, do I rebuild my practice only for them to come at me again and again and again and effectively have a noose around my neck? All for the sake of making the big bucks and having this career? Or do I just say, take your license back, here's the noose, thank you very much, and I'm going to hold on to this mic and I'm going to shout loud and proud and keep saying what needs to be said and wake people up. And you know what? I'll make it work. I might not be as wealthy as I was before. I might have some hardships, and I did for a period, but now I've got a few supporters who pitch in $5 a month. And you know what? I've got the lights on. I'm paying the bills. It could be better. I could be on a repayment mortgage, but it's okay. I'm happy. I'm healthy. I've got love around me. But the most important thing is I'm wealthy in terms of I'm living in the truth. I'm authentic. I'm doing the right thing. I've got the love and respect of my family and my children and people from around the world. And, there are more important things than money. I'm not going to take the money to the grave. I need to think about my children and their grandchildren and what kind of future they want. And I don't want them to be in a gulag. I don't want them to be in a 15-minute digital city. And I don't want my kids to say in the future, oh, Dad, why didn't you fight for us? Oh, well, son,
Amen,
I really wanted that fancy car and those nice holidays and to go out for a nice meal and to have a fancy watch. Really, Dad?
I want to interrupt you right here because this is everything, Doc. This is everything. You can't sell out your kid's future. What is it? What is your children's future worth? Everything. Everything. Your children's future, their freedom is everything. Now, I want to ask you a tough question about it. Because here's the thing. You and I both know this. We're both freedom fighters. Now, in my world, one of the things that's very, very frustrating, and I won't sell out. Like I spend all my time doing what I do, and it is what it is. And I'm not for sale. I won't sell. I mean, it is what it is. But one of the things that's interesting is I don't care about the fancy cars. What I do care about, though, is having the resources to fight the bad guys. That's become a real issue. And, when we look at this problem, and I don't really want to get into like great detail on money stuff because nobody cares. But at the end of the day, one of the things that's interesting to me is the way that the bad guys have structured this, where if you're fighting the good fight, there's no funding to do it. I've said this several times. Right now in the United States, Bayer Pharmaceuticals is spending millions and millions of dollars buying off Congress people and state legislatures because they want to pass laws limiting liability against Roundup, glyphosate, these poisons that cause cancers, right? So they're buying off Congress people right and left. There's a bill actually in Congress right now to try and limit liability. It's a really shady thing the way they do it. They're spending tens of millions just on one bill like that. Now, I've said a long time, you give me $5-10 million, I'll free our country, I'll free our world. Because it takes very little to free the world if you're fighting for the truth. it's a little bit tough and frustrating to see how much tighter things have gotten and how hard it is to raise money on our side. When we look at the other side, and they're just throwing money at throwing it. And it's just like, they don't care what they spend. That's been a real challenge.
Dude, it's because they can print money literally out of nothing. They have arsenals of billions and trillions. And listen, look, what do they fund? They fund the media completely outright. They fund the academic institutions, Harvard, Yale,
that's another
Stanford,
thing.
Oxford, Imperial.
You and I could have all sorts of money if we said the right things on our shows.
Absolutely.
They'd throw money at us right and left.
I can tell you why that would work. So listen, I'll give you an example, right? So basically, oh, by the way, Bridge Butt Builder, you look up Doc Ahmad Malik, and I'm there, by the way, Doc Ahmad Malik. So basically, look, they spend billions and trillions on media and politicians, celebrities, influencers, left-wing, right-wing, social media, alternative media. You've got the mainstream alternative media that's totally captured as well. There's so many tentacles in which they fund you. Look, I've got a text on my phone from a big influencer, right-wing conservative influencer, saying, "Hey, Doc, I've got some people who'd like to connect with you. They give $20,000 per post on a certain thing." And I was like, "What?" And then they said, "Are you interested?" And I said, "No, thank you," because that 20,000 comes with strings attached. 20,000 per post, dude. Are you serious? You think that wouldn't make a dent in my life and improve my situation? Of course, you freaking would. But you think that comes for nothing?
No.
Like, then it's like, "Oh, don't talk about this. Oh, please don't talk. Be careful what you say here." And you're like, okay. That's how they capture you. They capture you directly. They capture you indirectly. They capture you willingly. They capture you unwillingly. There's also ways that they can capture you. And they have. That's the thing. There are so many people, even so-called on our side, who are working. I'm not saying knowingly. This is what I mean.
No, a lot of them have no idea. They just think they're getting a good deal.
Yeah. It could be knowingly, unknowingly, indirectly, directly, unwillingly, willingly, right? Seriously, you can make a little wee thing from that. And most people, I think, don't actually know, but they end up self-censoring. They end up catching what they're saying and being careful. And we don't have that on this side. There is a reason I don't have any sponsors on my show. Guess who keeps my show running? A few hundred, a handful of 100 people who pay $5. And guess what? They can't cancel me. Because if I talk about some of the things that I think are wrong, if I speak out against the war in Ukraine, if I speak out against what Israel is doing to the Gaza people, I can't get cancelled. But you know what? Guess what? If I tomorrow turned around and said, "I'm a former Muslim, and you know what? Islam is terrible, and we need to bomb these people, and Israel first," I can tell you the money would be cha-ching-ching in my pocket. I'd be going around all the circuit. I'd be making the money. I'd be getting all the Christian Zionists in America all happy. I'd be invited everywhere. I could play the game, right? But you know what? You need to live in truth. You need to speak out for team humanity, right? I'm not a Muslim. I'm not a Jew. I'm not a Christian. I have a direct relationship with God, my creator, and that's it. All religions, as far as I'm concerned, have been captured and corrupted. I'm not doing that. I follow the teachings of Christ. I believe in God. That's it. Thank you very much.
Christian.
But like the mosques, churches, and synagogues, they all locked up during COVID.
I know.
Do you think Jesus said, "Hand me the hand gel"? Where's my mask?
Don't
come near me.
Doc,
social distancing.
I will one up you on this. I'll one up you on this because I'm Catholic. So my church tells us that the communion is literally the body and blood of Christ. It's a miracle every time you take it. They tell us it's a miracle every time you take it, that it's the literal body and blood of Christ. But during COVID, they denied communion because the literal body and blood of Christ was going to be contagious and spread germs. You either believe it's a miracle or you don't. And what we had was a real truth detector right there on what the Catholic Church believes. Now, there were those of us that didn't care and would have been fine with the communion one way or another, but the church itself could not have sold out any more than it did. "Oh, you've got to be here every Sunday so you can get communion because it's a miracle. And by the way, don't forget to tithe. Don't forget to tithe." But
dude, can I very quickly? I want you to picture this. Close your eyes and picture this. Jesus is sitting on a stool, and he's got a leper in front of him, and there's a perplex glass with 2 little holes, and the feet are poking out through the perplex glass. Jesus is also wearing 2 masks and a face shield. He's got gloves on. And he's been triple boosted because he's prayed at the altar of the holy vaccine. And now he washes this leper's feet. Can you imagine that? Like,
that's pretty much what we had. That is pretty much what it was. I got to tell you, Doc, it was unbelievable. And when you look back, I mean, if you're ever, and for anybody watching, hey, listen, if you're ever up for a chuckle, look back, just do a search. It'd be like, how stupid were we during COVID? Or, COVID lockdown videos, COVID stupidity videos. Any of these searches, pretty much anything that you want to search on it, you'll get the most ridiculous things ever. These double, triple masked buffoons dancing 6 foot from each other, doing, outdoors. I mean, it was unbelievable.
It's easier to fool people than to convince them they've been fooled.
Amen.
You can have 9/11 towers free fall, and you know what? It's fine. You can have one Patsy Oswald killed JFK. It's fine. Yeah, we believe the government. Yeah. There's so many of these instances. Iraq has WMDs. Gaddafi is a danger to the world, or whatever. Or hand gliders broke through the world's most secure border and massacred people.
And slow-moving tractors.
Right? If you want to fall for it, the bullet zipped past Donald Trump and God saved him by moving his head. Now, I'm going to upset a lot of people. I know that. But, if you're going to fall for this stuff, you deserve to be treated the way you are right now. That's as simple as that. And that's what I meant by the revolution starts in our mind. We need to step up and we need to be like lions. If all of us were like lions, the government should be absolutely terrified of us. Their idea of doing anything to us, they should balk at that. So, for example, the so-called American Revolution happened because of a 3% tax or less on tea. Supposedly, yep. I don't believe it was that. That was a reason.
Well, but, it was a contributing factor.
I know, but what I'm saying is, people rose up and went, no. You know what? When you get taxed 80 to 90% of your income, we just go, oh, okay, all right. To this unconstitutional, unlawful thing that's the IRS or the HMRC, these corporations that we're paying to, is wrong. And like Mike said, when have the governments ever admitted that they're making a mistake? And wherever you go, America, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, Britain, France, the shit show peak clown world is marching forward. And I'm telling you right now, none of these people who we are presented with, even if they say the right things, it's like Barnum's world. Look, great film by my friend, Drew Treglia. It's YouTube. It's free. Barnum's World. Please watch it. 1 hour, 40 minutes of your life. It's hilarious and it explains everything and it makes you wake up. You need to wake up, folks, because next time you hear a Barnum statement, the person telling you that statement is full of crock of. So what's the Barnum statement? Make America healthy again. So vague, sounds good, no specifics. Seems like it's personal and individual to you, but it's also applicable to everyone. Make America healthy? How? MAGA, make America great again. Of course, everyone loves that. But give me the specifics. What exactly? How are we going to do that? Build back better, safe and effective. It goes on and on and on. All of these Barnum statements, anyone who comes out with it, you can't trust them.
100%. So, Doc, we got about 3-4 minutes left. Tell me what you care about. What's important to you? I mean, you're fighting, you're doing this, you're doing all the things you're doing. Tell me what you care about. Tell me what your why, what you're doing, what you care about, and what we got to really watch for coming up.
I really care about saving the planet, and I'm terrified of global warming. No, I'm just joking. No,
Greta Thunberg, here we come.
How dare you? Yeah, no.
Grumpy Greta.
Listen, I love my family and my children. I did a consultation earlier on this week. God bless, this guy, Rick. He was like, I was talking about stresses and stuff. He was one of the stresses, Ahmed, is my son is in his 20s and we don't have that relationship we used to have. We were like tight. And now he's off living on his own. He doesn't call me and he's busy. And I miss him. He started crying. And you know what? So I'm just enjoying my kids while I can. I'm enjoying the love of my wife. I'm loving nature. I'm loving life. I'm loving my podcast and what I'm doing in this beautiful world.
You don't sound like an angry right-wing zealot. I don't understand this.
Fake it till you make it. And I'm just happy. Like, I'm living the true, authentic self. That's what I'm passionate about. And I'm passionate about empowering human beings. Like, listen, I could easily play oh, I will be your Messiah. Like, I'm one of your heroes. Come to me and we will lead the way, and trust in this person and trust in that person. Climb the greasy, scale and ladder, and, become famous and become an influencer and make lots of money and go on Joe Rogan and all these other kinds. Or, do you know what? You just speak the truth and you tell everyone, guess what? The real hero, the real savior lies in the mirror. Look in the mirror. Look in the mirror.
Amen.
God resides everywhere and inside us. Tap into that strength and lead yourself. Take personal responsibility. Do the grunt work. Do the hard work. Stop being lazy. Stop abdicating your personal sovereignty, responsibility to external forces and people who don't give a damn about you. I hate to tell you this, folks. Trump, Biden, Macron, Trudeau, none of these people, Farage, Rupert Lowe, give a damn about you. They're in the club, like, that comedian Carlin, whatever his name said, they're in the club and we ain't in it. And that's it. That's what you need to understand. We are not in that club. And I wouldn't want to be, even if I had the choice. Like, if they invited me, I'd be like, hard pass.
Doc, I got to tell you, I appreciate, I've been very excited to get to know you. You give me hope for humanity. It's wonderful to know that I got a brother fighting across the pond that's, willing to stand on truth and willing to stand on principle. And it's been a great honor to get to know you. I look forward to many shows together with you. I look forward to fighting together. If I can be of any assistance in the UK, you don't hesitate. And I'll badge you over here anytime that I can. And folks, make sure that you're following Doc Malik. Make sure that you docmalik.com, Doc Ahmad Malik on Twitter, and just support this guy. Get his show out as well. Good dude. Someone that I'm proud to know, and I just appreciate the heck out of your fight, Doc. Thank you for being here.
Thanks.
All right. We'll be back soon, everybody.